Hey, welcome back everyone to this second video on the series of verbals. On the first video, we discussed what verbals are and which the four kinds of verbals are, which are gerunds, infinitives, present participles, and past participles. And we also discussed the functions that infinitives can perform, and we mentioned that infinitives can be nouns, they can be adjectives, or they can be adverbs. And regarding the infinitive acting as a noun, we said that the best approach we can take to decide that an infinitive is a noun is to check if it has the function of a noun. So, if an infinitive is acting as the subject of a sentence, then of course that infinitive is to be classified as a noun functioning as a subject. Or if it's a direct object, then we know that that's also an infinitive acting as a noun. Remember that it's very important that we don't simply assume that, oh, this is an infinitive, so it has to be a noun, because it's the most common role that an infinitive may have. For example, no. We always need to test our assumption. We always need to analyze to check that the infinitive is performing a specific role. So we talked about infinitives as nouns, and now we are going to talk about infinitives as adjectives. Now, infinitives as adjectives, we are going to find this next to the word that they modify, right? And as I already mentioned in the previous video, it's important that you understand that it's not only about location. It's not only because I have an infinitive next to a noun that I am going to say, this is an infinitive, it's next to a noun, ergo it is an adjective. No, I mean, you have to check that the infinitive is actually telling you something about the noun. Remember that the function of an adjective is to describe the noun, to say something about the noun, to enrich its meaning with some quality, with some detail, with something that makes you understand better what noun you are talking about. Let's check these examples. The board of directors postponed the decision to dissolve the company for too long. So, the board of directors postponed the decision. I have this noun acting as a direct object, of course. I'm not saying that the infinitive is a direct object, okay? I'm saying that this noun is the direct object. So, the decision. Now, I ask you, which decision did the board of directors postpone? The decision to dissolve the company. That decision, the decision to dissolve the company, was the one that they postponed. So it's not any decision. It's not the decision to buy more furniture for the office. It's not the decision to hire new lawyers. It's not the decision to create a new branch in Honduras. No, nothing like that. It's the decision to dissolve the company. So as you can see, this infinitive phrase is acting as an adjective because it is giving us information about what decision we are talking about. Check next example. Frank's plan to stop George's bullying involves violence. Frank's plan to stop George's bullying involves violence. Now I ask you, can Frank have multiple plans? Or can we have different plans? I think so, right? We all have goals in life, or we should have goals in life. And for us to achieve these goals in life, we need to have plans, right? So what plan are we talking about? Frank's plan to stop George's bullying. So As you can see, this infinitive phrase is giving me information about what plan we are talking about. The other example, they only had love to share. To share is also an infinitive. As you can see, this is not an infinitive phrase, but only an infinitive, and it is acting as an adjective because it tells me something about the love that they had. They only had love to share. They had nothing else but love to share. Not love to forget, not love to admit, no, love to share. And those are infinitives as adjectives, and I want to reiterate that to find an infinitive acting as an adjective, you are going to find it next to a noun. See? Here we have the noun decision, here we have the noun plan, and here we have the noun love. But it is very important that you remember that it's not position that defines the role of the infinitive, but the fact that these infinitives, are saying something about the nouns that precede them. Those are infinitives as adjectives. And then we have infinitives as adverbs. And this is my strategy, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I go and I apply an elimination process. I think it's easier for me when I am analyzing infinitives, because I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes it can be difficult to figure out the role that an infinitive is performing. Sometimes it's difficult to figure out if an infinitive is acting as an adjective or if it's acting as an adverb. So what I usually do is first to test, to check if the infinitive is acting as a noun. If I cannot find the function of a noun for the infinitive, then I move on. And I check if the infinitive is acting as an adjective. If I don't see that it's acting as an adjective, then by elimination I say, okay, if it's not a noun, if it's not an adjective, then it is an adverb, of course. That is usually what I do. And let me show you the examples. The problem is difficult to solve. Here we have to solve. This is acting as an adverb because it's telling me something about difficult. Difficult to solve. It is enriching the meaning of difficult. So it is modifying difficult. This is an infinitive acting as an adverb. Check the next example. To clean my name, I am willing to duel with Count Orlok. Now, that's an infinitive phrase, and it is acting as an adverb. And I want to point out that a common mistake, especially when we are not really when we really don't know what the different functions of the infinitives are, is that we are going to classify this as a subject. So to clean my name, it's at the beginning of the sentence, because it's at the beginning of the sentence is the subject. But that's not the right train of thought that you should take, because remember that a subject is not always the first word in a sentence. It happens usually that we begin a sentence with the subject, but there are cases in which that doesn't happen. So you may think, okay, but now I'm in trouble because how do I know that? Well, check the verb system. I am willing to duel with Count Orlok. Who is willing to duel with Count Orlok? I am. How can, if I am doing the action, how can to clean my name be the subject? Doesn't make sense, right? So this is an adverb of purpose. For what purpose am I doing this action? I am willing to do with count or look. For what purpose? To clean my name, right? So I can move this infinitive phrase at the end of the sentence, and it's going to make sense as well. To clean my name, I am willing to duel with count or look, or I am willing to duel with count or look to clean my name. So teacher, then if you can put it at the end, if it's easier for me to not confuse it with a subject, why do I move the adverb to the beginning of the sentence? Well, we do this because we want to bring special emphasis to this piece of information. So when you want to bring special emphasis to a piece of information in the sentence, then what you can do is to move this piece of information to the beginning. I want you to be careful. I'm not saying that you can move every piece of information to the beginning of the sentence. No, remember that we have specific patterns in the language. But in the case of this adverb, okay, in the case of adverbs of purpose, I can move them to the beginning of the sentence. That is possible. The last example, Marisa left the country to heal. Marisa left the country, what for? With what purpose? She left the country because she wanted to heal. She wanted that, right? So that is the purpose why she left the country. So I can say that to heal is modifying the verb. To heal is an adverb. And I want you to see this specific example, guys. Country, that's a noun. Is that to heal an adjective? No, because it is not modifying country. It is not the country to heal. El país a sanar. It doesn't say that. It doesn't mean that what needs to heal is the country. No, what needs to heal is Marisa. So I want you to pay attention to this. I want you to check what I was telling you, that it is not about position only. It's about whether this infinitive has an impact on this word, on country, which it doesn't. Not in this case. And guys, those are the different functions that infinitives can take. Infinitives can be nouns, they can be adjectives, and they can be adverbs. An infinitive as a noun is going to be performing the role of a noun. It can be a subject, an appositive, an indirect object, an object of a preposition. Granted, we only have two prepositions that allow us to have infinitives as objects, and those are but and except. Other than those two prepositions, we are not going to have infinitives acting as objects of prepositions, okay? For the rest of the prepositions, I repeat, we cannot say that an infinitive is the object of a preposition. Only for but when it means except, and of course the preposition except. And if an infinitive is acting as an adjective, remember that it's going to be providing you information about the noun that precedes it. It's going to somehow enrich the meaning of the noun. It's going to help you to identify what noun you are talking about. It is going to limit the possibilities for the noun. And then we have infinitives acting as adverbs that they can modify, of course, verbs, which is probably the most common part of a speech, excuse me. It's probably the most common part of a speech that adverbs modify, but they can also, infinitives can also, when acting as adverbs, they can also modify adjectives, and I guess they can also modify adverbs as well. And with this, guys, I finished my second video on this topic, and on the next video we are going to start talking about gerunds. Have a fantastic day, everybody.